Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Also, your agent of Animated Awesome, as today is Monday. We are going to be talking about the 31st through 35th episodes of Kimba the White Lion. There's the last two are even a two-parter. The middle one has a bunch of hippos in it. There you go, Lilith. And they're all quite good. I mean, there's some covering up of, well, there's some problem. There's one problematic one, and we'll get to that. It's only, well, it's problematic. It should have been problematic then, but, well, anyway. Be that as it may, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. The comments are always so much fun for me to see when they show up. And if you want to be notified every day of new content, please hit the subscription bell. All right, so having said all that, let's just get right into it now as soon as we get our logo up. Yes, he does live down in deepest, darkest Africa, as we can see. However, today's first episode, number 31, which was broadcast in Japan on May 4th, 1966, and you can just extrapolate where the next four ended up on June 1st, 1966, and a wide variety of times. I don't know how they figured out when they were aired on U.S. television, since a lot of them were just, I saw them daily. That's anyway. Be that as it may, this is the City of Gold. So it starts out with the narrator informing us about the legend of the City of Gold and how no one's found it. And anyone who does never returns. Dun, dun, dun. So, of course, Bucky is now teaching the younger used to be Kimba's contemporaries. Now they're all younger. And they want a spooky story from him. So he tells them, see, they're all it's, I don't even know which ones those are. So he tells them about Twin Skulls Cave, dun, 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 which is the entrance, of course, to the City of Gold. So the kids want to go, and Kimba's like, I'll go. And Bucky has to go, so they won't think he's a coward. They run into Tom and Tab running from hunters who are looking for the City of Gold, of course. And Tom and Tab are morons, so they don't know. Kimba gives them the big old bear hug, the finisher that the late, great Bruno Sammartino used to use. A bear hug is a finisher. Can you believe that? And then Tom and Tab have run into the skull, so Kimba has to go get them. Just some really good imagery here. They're bats, of course. Finally runs into them, and they want to fight him at first, and then they say, you know what? Fine, stay in here for the rest of your lives. They say, okay, we'll work with you. There's some singing and some sweating. It's more lizards. And then one of them has the good idea to drop Kimba into a chasm or into something. And down he goes. And then they're like, oh, Claw will be so happy with us, except that they're stuck in there and they have to go find him. All the way down, 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 and out. And now they've realized what they've done because they're morons. So everybody else wants to run in there and help him, but they can't quite get their feet to work. Very funny visual. And now we see the map, and the poachers are going in after him because that's what's on their map. It's a good thing that they're not at the Skull Cave, or the Phantom would have come out and smacked him around some. Ooh, a Kimba Phantom crossover would be kind of fun. Could be kind of fun. In, a serial comic way, to use the tagline for Son of Kong. They're thirsty, but they can't drink gold, and the animals don't even care. They just want to get out. Buttering up Kimba there. And finally, they run into, well, you know who, the granddaddy of all turtles. That doesn't not quite look like Gamera, and this Gamera would have just come out, but this probably was, if it's in the manga, then of course it might predate Gamera. Who knows? Giant turtles are nothing new. I mean, there's a religion that believed that the earth was rested on a turtle's back. So there you go. But it can spin like a top, and it's dangerous. Kimba has to kind of fight him, and then finally he says he's going to let the water out, but really it's the oil for the somebody's lighting a fire in there, and Mr. Turtle slips on it. Granddaddy Turtle, they call him, not Boss Turtle, which would make a lot more sense. And then the trio help him over, and he's like, oh, "I'd have whipped you when I was younger," because of course animals all talk the same language, right? And I don't know if these guys, did they get a name in there? No, but you can tell he's a villain because he's twirling his mustache. Mwah ha ha. And the turtle finally believes them that they don't care about the gold because they're animals. I mean, hello. So we have fights, lots of shadows in here. Use of shadows, it's very cool. These episodes start getting a little trying some different artistry in them. The animals see the gold. Of course, the whole place blows up. The gold hunters run away, run away, and there it goes. Now they're sad because the turtle's gone and he was their buddy. Then finally, Bucky turns around and says, "Hey, are you guys going to hang out with us now, or go back to Claw?" And they go back to Claw because you can't change the spots of a hyena, according to the narrator. All right, and now we're on to episode 32, The Last Poacher. Here's our problematic episode because of just how there's a native in it, African, and he's subservient to one man and calls him master the whole time. Just saying it's out there, so just keep that in mind. You won't hear anything, and he's not presented in a poor light except for those words. And he's got subordinates, white and black subordinates, that do everything he says. So, if they wouldn't have called him master, if they called him chief, I don't think anyone would care. So that's. Who lives down in deepest, darkest Africa? Who's the one who brought the jungle fame? So we start out with a jungle ranger named Seymour Hart. I mean, you'd want to see his heart rather than anything else that Seymours are known for when being named. But this is the first time we see other rangers, and I don't think Roger Ranger has left yet, but I certainly haven't been able to. I'm quite sure that there's one more when Tonga shows up. Yes, like I think episode 45 maybe. So it's been I think, but we'll get to that. Be that as it may, so where's Roger? And this gorgeous painting. He's headed for the waterfalls in his boat. It's just Kimba rescues him, and they go take him to the animal hospital because, of course, that'll be the best thing. And they're all like, and everyone finds out there's a human. Bucky's still teaching again. There's a human, and Bucky says, "I'm giving you a study hour so you can study." And they're, "What are you doing?" "I'm going to go see who the human at the hospital." And essentially, that's their "we got hosed" look. Another lovely painting, and they call him Devil Man. And I wonder if he's wandering. Who is that? That's not the Devil Man we know, of course, which we've only talked about once, and that might be a fun subtitled episode series to go through. We'll consider that. So Devil Man leads the poachers, and there's the rangers, so there's a lot about that. Seymour is all healed, or they're waiting for him, and then Kimba headlong into trouble. There's our poachers, so you can tell there's a wide variety of them. And, they go with Seymour to try to stop the poachers in his territory. And Kimba loses his temper a lot as he gets older. You can tell he's a teenager. So I like their surprises about how hard the humans work to keep these poachers from killing all the animals. And there's Mr. Greed. But once again, I would think that Peter Fernandez is writing that. It's probably Greedly Grimes or Grimely Greed, just one of Peter's alliterative names. And he tells him to kill him, and Kimba fights the Devil Man, gets imprisoned. But then the Jungle Patrol, the Rangers show up, They do the old Tarzan bit, but they get shot down. We don't know if they get killed or not. And Seymour doesn't want to kill Devil Man, and he's saying, "This is all I know what to do. If you stop me from hunting, I'm nothing." That's a good question, but um, Mr. Greed runs into Seymour and he shoots Devil Man. Now, the dubbing says Devil Man's wounded badly, but he'll survive. Don't you believe it? Devil Man does not survive. And Kimba's annoyed. Look, so you can tell Kimba's sad, and then he's annoyed. Another headbutt. I mean, when you don't have hands to punch with, your head is pretty much. And I'm hoping that they turn Greed over for justice, but sadly, Justice rarely wins out over greed. And then that's the end of the episode. This is what they're saying, that Africa is going in a new direction, civilization. I don't know if that's the best thing there either, but off they go. Everyone's happy. And with a beautiful little painting at the end. And Jungle Justice, which is where we are now. Who's the king of animals in Africa? Kimba the White Lion is his name. When we get into okay, stop that. I want to play some of this. There's a storm going on here, but I'm not going to do the normal talking about it or what live stuff today, just because it takes a long time. So once the storm is over, the animals go into a cave for Happy to be safe for Happy. Yes. And this one uses some very interesting flashbacks here. Harold Heron disappears, and they think he's been drowned. So, and they're blaming Clunker Hippo. I like this shot here of Kimba shaking the water out of his fur, because it makes him look very much like a cat. Because once again, no matter what size the cat is, they're all the same inside. And there's Clunker Hippo, who's new to the area, and he's kind of a jerk. I think I'll take a nap. Wake me up when it's all over. They put him on trial to find out what's happened to Harold. And Harold Heron is a little jerk. And so for flashbacks, they have the animator's hand drawing like this. And this happens several times. So once again, that's an interesting way of doing it, I thought. So we get to meet, let me just scroll back here. More flashback, and so there's Clunker. Stuck between two of my teeth. And he wants one of the herons, to clean out like a plover does. But the only one that volunteers here, all the herons are afraid of this happening. They're not plovers. They're not tiny little bugs. Herons are big, big birds. And there's Harold, looking very innocent, but he gets all his friends to drop stuff on top of Clunker as a practical joke. And of course, Clunker goes nuts. And then it's kind of their jail, this giant baobab tree. Baobab. And Kimba wants to talk to him and say, hey, just apologize and we'll get you taken care of.
Oh, I bet you're afraid of thunder and lightning.
And he is.
What a ridiculous thing.
So they're going back to where Clunker came from, up the river or down the river. They keep getting these new hippos coming by. As we know, hippos can be jerks to everybody, including each other. I mean, they turn cannibalism. I know way too much about hippos. Thank you, Lilith. So Kimba rescues these little squirrels, which leads to, some nice things. Oops. Don't want the music. That's always what gets me in trouble there. And he goes and talks to, I don't even remember what this dingbat's name is. Jungle. So, but she knows where he was.
I saw him 2 days after the fight. Where? In that jungle east of here. It was the day of that real big storm.
And another flashback. Diddly. So that's the hippo, and she tells him what happened. So, and the boss hippo there, every time he wins a fight, he takes the hippo's tusks, which is why Clunker has no tusks. So, in order to get the little heron to come back, he's decided he's got to fight Boss Hippo.
I will. We're here. Well, I.
So, unfortunately for the old Boss Hippo here, there's some animate plants. They grab him and Kimba, but the little chipmunks or squirrels rescue both of them. You'd think that would put him in Kimba's debt. That's where you see Kimba falls and lands on one of them.
I couldn't leave you hanging up there in the trees after the way you saved me. You put up the bravest fight I've ever seen. Nobody's ever beaten King Blackbrows before.
King Blackbrows, not Boss Hippo. Thank you, little squirrel mongoose thingy mabob. So back to Kimba's jungle, and the herons have gone on strike, and they will not get the bugs off the hippos like plovers do. Now they want to get Tusky. Uh, where's the damn name again? Oh, I didn't write it down. Well, now I'm drawing a blank. Clunker. So now there's our heron who's the star witness. I love the fact that Daniel is using Polly as a gavel. Tusker admits he's afraid of lightning, and then we fight, and then there's a big fight because they still don't know where Harold is. And I mean, there's a big fight. Everybody's fighting everybody. But finally, Harold shows up, and everyone's had the stuffing beat out of him. But they forgive him because he's a little turd. Well, anyway. And there you go. Everyone's happy. I'm assuming that Clunger got to stick around. Yeah. And that's it. This is a 2-part episode. So it's called Jungle Fun, but in Japanese it was Toto the Panther's Revenge. Toto is the Japanese name for Cassius, the Black Panther. Actually, I just call him a black leopard because that's really what they are. But also slightly, but unless you know, it really doesn't matter. So the narrator starts out here. Kimba is having a fight there with Cassius. And Claw is egging him on, of course. Everyone's sweating over the fact that Kimba may or may not survive. Come on. Why don't I just do this? There we go. All right. Now look at Petty. Look at Polly's sweat. Look at Petty Swall. So the fight breaks out, and of course Kimba wins, except it looks like Cassius is about to win when all the little animals gang up on him. They're starting to fight back. This leads them, and Claw gets really annoyed with Cassius and grinds his claws down so he can't kill anything or use them offensively. Here's another hippo yelling. They're building an amusement park in the jungle. The animals are building an amusement park in the jungle. Just let that sink in, all right? I mean, it's science fiction. It's fantasy. It works. What's powering? I guess they could use the water power. Who taught them how to do this? Tom and Tab are snooping about, and Kimba sends Kitty a letter. Now, how did Kimba learn how to write? How did Kitty learn how to read? They're smart enough to not even bother with answering those questions or showing the language at least. And what language are they? Is it just a bunch of paws like Snoopy used to do from the head beagle? That stupid Thompson. He's done it again. But it's an invitation to come visit. But Claw sends they call them, you can't really see them here, but they call them crows because they're black, but they're flying more like condors, which are native to Africa. I don't know if crows are, but I know condors are. And thanks to I Know Dino, I know that if condors want you away from them, they will regurgitate their food at you, which is ridiculously nasty. So Now that these guys have been kicked out by Claw, they pretend to help out. They kidnap Kitty. Unfortunately, Kimba hears it and beats him up once again. And Claw, gets it once again. Kimba loses his temper, and Claw encourages him to be a wild animal and, pretty much kill Cassius and kill Tom and Tab because he has no use for him. These tools, I mean, that's what they are to him. And Kimba says, "No, I'm not doing it." Good for Kimba. And they're terrified now, and they're like, "Well, you can come, work with us, and we'll take you in." And this isn't going to work out. So there, the amusement park is now open. Now these are 4 Black Panthers that don't have names and just show up for these. At least this is the first time they've shown up in these 2 episodes. And as we end, Kitty and Kitty and Kimba are on the roller jet coaster, and the narrator says Kitty realizes that her life with Kimba, and they've given up all pretense. She's in love with him, and Kimba's pretty much in love with her. Would be just a roller coaster of ups and downs. And oops. So now we have to take a pause here because your agent can't count.
Kimba, 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 who lives down in deepest, darkest Africa? Who's the one who brought the jungle fame? Who's the king of animals in Africa? Kimba the White Lion is his name. He's the greatest leader, there's no doubt of it. He's the one we count on night and day. When there's danger, he can get us out of it. Kimba the White Lion leads the way.
All right, I threw the rarely seen, except that you can find it on YouTube, so it's often seen, but an alternate opening credit song, which was I heard that actually screened. I saw it screened at some kind of comic book convention once. One of my late friend, Raven White or Valentino Frankenstein, had a copy, and I wish I remembered what episode it was. But we'll just say it was for the Pretenders. Okay, so this is our final episode and the second part, of course, of this. We got a flashback talking about how the animals built that, and then we see that, as it ended, they had an accident. Kimba was gravely injured. Apparently, Kitty was fine. He must have sacrificed himself, and she takes care of him. Like I said, there's no pretense anymore that these 2 aren't going to get together. I mean, he's got to be, for as far as animals go, in his, getting to be a teenager. And another just lovely shot. And now the theater is opening up. At first, I thought they were going to show movies, but instead, it's a song and dance from Tom and Tab. Pardon me. I keep wanting to call him Tim. They talk these stories about the horse of Jesse James and how they get away with all these villains. And then, didn't I say that? Well, anyway, what happens is they trap all the animals in there so Claw can eat them when he wants to, and then they get Kitty as well. But they've got all the younger ones thinking that it's cool to be a bad guy like Jesse James or Al Capone or somebody else. I don't remember. But be that as it may, they can't get in, and the jerks are up there laughing. I mean, they know Claw's just going to betray him every time. Kimba tries to get in and turns into a big old crybaby because the lioness he loves is inside. And he promises to let everyone go if Kimba leaves the jungle. So off Kimba goes because he's naively naive. And he reminds me of Pepe Le Pew, or maybe doing his best Gomez Adams. Kitty, you spoke French. But Kitty he's trying to woo her. He pitches woo at Kitty, and she pitches it right back. I mean, Kitty is very feisty. This is a good episode. This is a good Kitty episode. There's our unusual Black Panthers again, Black Leopards. But Kitty's fine. They're inside. There's a storm happening yet again. There's a lot of storms in Africa, don't you know? Or droughts. It's like, make up your mind, will you? But she rallies the animals and goes after Claw. And look at her tear him a new one. And Bucky runs into the door to try to get it out. I don't know if he breaks it open, but and the younger ones all attack. I mean, I don't care what a good fighter you are. 3 against 1 is not good. It's still not good odds. Now you may prevail, but you're going to get hurt. Kimba Claw's given the word that Cassius whispers in his ear and says, as long as Kimba's alive, Kitty won't ever agree to marry you or be your princess or whatever. So that's what the Black Panthers are out doing. And he defeats them and finds out Kitty's leading the charge because Dano and Dano and Polly get out and off he goes. And look at her. He just wallops Cassius right in the head. I mean, a normal cat, that would break it. I mean, crush its skull. That's a great action shot. And the crowd rejoices. Huzzah! You can get a Monty Python reference in there. Claw's had enough, and it's a showdown. Him and Kimba. Pretty evenly matched. Cassius gets zapped by a lightning bolt. Now, you'd think that would have fried him, but Kimba beats him fair and square, and they say, hey, if you want to behave, you can join us. And Tom and Tab take him away. Now, I don't know if Cassius is done now or not. Storm clears up, and Kimba waves goodbye. They're back on the roller coaster. They're not letting a little thing like near death, ruin their fun. So, all right. That is our final, or not our final one, the final episode of today. And Africa. It's a catchy song, isn't it? So, and my fellow agents, until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off. And be careful when you're going to an amusement park in deepest, darkest Africa.